And boom, here we are. Hey, um, I'm gonna jump over to a little screen share while we're talking about autumn leaves still. I just feel like there's a little bit more to look at here. And yes, I have a version for you now in minor. Now, I didn't do every note of the thing, but I did do the best ukulele version of the chords, these parts, the bass, a little bit of drums, but in Miles' amazing interpretation of that melody, which is so and just because I like you guys, I'll make this bigger. Sorry. Um, and some different extensions than Neil was using in his versions, and these are the ones I believe they were using in this version. And hopefully YouTube doesn't cite us for this ukulele version of this. And putting the chords where a jazz player of this style and time might put the chords. And here's that solo we just listened to. So, for those of you, I'll get off the screen share, that like the more ensemble approach, now we've got that. Now, also, especially for the improvisers, I just want to show you something. And I haven't yet parsed out all these parts, nor, have I added it to Sound Slice, but I'll just jump in here, like I mentioned before. The chord changes start, and I want to point out something that's pretty cool. And even if we remembered last semester, rhythm changes, we had that Mixolydian B flat, right? And if you remember that, it's right there. Now, B flat and G minor have a relationship, right? Anybody want to tell me in numbers what that relationship is?
G minor is the relative minor. Is
Yeah.
the six.
Yeah. The
B
six.
flat.
1-6. Right. Yeah. Awesome. So, people, good people, does that mean that we could use the same licks we played over rhythm changes? Who says yes? Raise your hand if you say yes. Maybe, kind of, yes, huh? Uh huh. Anybody think no? Absolutely not. Anybody wonder what we're talking about? Okay. Then let's find out. Add an extra note. Sounds. Now, do we all think, hey, B flat works in G minor? Wait a minute, I don't have to teach my fingers anything new. I can play this music. That's good news. So you're going to have this if that's a way you want to learn, and by improvising, making things up. Now you're on your own as far as figuring out what notes are in these chords that might alter a note of the scale. I think it's easier than the B section of rhythm changes is, but you can look at it a little bit. There's a couple chords that are focused a half step out. So I think that'll be a cool thing for you. Also, these chords just themselves are pretty spectacular, I think. And yeah, you can just tell, the C minor 7, 3 3 3 3, F7, B flat major 7, kind of like what you wish B flat was when you were a beginner. E flat major 7, and then a fun one. It's harder to say than it is to play. A minor 7 flat 5, 2 3 3 3, and then this one's so good. D7 flat 13, 3 2 2 3. You'll have all this, and then ending on a G minor 6, 0 2 0 1. Yeah. And it's got some, the B section has, starts on the A minor 7 flat 5, with that D7 flat 13, G6. you can see it all. You'll have it all. Can play with that, and just notice. So I want to make sure we get the idea that, and Neil's arrangement of this is wonderful, and it is one arrangement of this. Miles Davis's arrangement of this, which I think is really more Gil Evans' arrangement of this, is also pretty wonderful. I was surprised when I started looking for this online how many people say this is the best piece of music ever. This is the number one Miles Davis song ever. This is just perfect music. So that was cool. And I've been like, yeah, I'd heard of Miles Davis Autumn Leaves, but I could never find it. So now I understand Something Else by Cannonball Adderley. That's where you're going to find this. So you'll have this as a jam track. You can learn the melody if you want, or his version of it, or learn it in another key. And I would definitely say that this was, I read this one, I don't remember who said this, but said if Jimi Hendrix had one secret, it was that he never learned one thing. Everything he learned, he played in 12 keys. So that it just integrated and was very functional. So this would get you 1/6 of the way there to learn this song in another key. But just it's a really good idea as a musician. Play it in some different places. All these kind of fingerings and voicings, really cool. I think, if just as like a teacher thinking about this, to a class, I would say also, if you wanted extra credit this semester, create your own chord melody version of this song in G minor. And you might see why Neil chose E minor. But it's still something you could play around with and explore. And I feel like that's just the way to learn this stuff, is to play with it. Any questions with that? Yeah, Cass.
Will you have this in the PDF form?
I will eventually. Yeah, but it'll be it might be a week or so. But it will be in Sound Slice before midnight tonight, Central Standard Time. Yeah, I'll see if I can convert it tonight. At least just the chords. The other part that's so cool that makes this like such great music is that this intro, and it's so easy. Which is like G, B flat, D, E, D. Just a little arpeggio of a G minor 6 chord. Super effective. And also this is so of its time. And there was this period, I'd love to like get into this, I'm sure there's some professor in LA or something that teaches this, but in the 1950s, minor key music and jazz came together with also film scoring and TV scoring, and it was like this period where everything was minor. And it's really and dramatic and dark and heavy, and then the art, is like cubistic art and all these black and white shows, and you couldn't tell if you were seeing shadows or blood. You never knew what that. It was just something dark over there in the corner. It just it fascinates me that when something becomes kind of popular in a time. And I really was also just remembering and struck by the thing that Val said, that improvising over minor chords is easier than major chords, and I find that interesting, and the way they move, and I think you can play to the emotion in them just a lot. It's just clearer. There's sadness. It's, and sometimes major keys is like I don't really feel anything. They sound cool and stuff, but the minors really can make us feel. Awesome. Well, I'll pass this along to you, and then we're gonna change gears a little bit. But I love this transition because now I'm so glad Neil brought up Miles Davis's version of this. Because it feels like a much smoother transition to go into this Idle Moments tune by the great jazz guitar player Grant Green. Songs written by a piano player named Duke Pearson. And I got to point out something else. I got to talk about another thing here. Nobody's even mentioned it. I find it's interesting. And so, has anybody noticed anything radically change in the past couple weeks? Maybe you don't have enough statistical information yet. So we're going to look at Grant Green's Idle Moments, and I want to talk about something I forgot to talk about, and that is jazz music formatting. I know we're really gonna change it all here. And so if I just look at the chords here for a second, and we're gonna have no fear, there we go. Jazz music has its own fonts, styles, and names of chords. And so I just want to make sure we get just a little education with that. Now, this I don't remember the name of the font. It doesn't really matter. But this is kind of what you'd find on iReal Pro in a real book. Virginia's just nodding her head. She's seen this stuff before. And just notice that sometimes the chord names can be a little bit confusing. So I want to make sure, like if we start here, that's a C minor. And as we go, this is a C minor major 7. They put the I in there just to avoid confusion of major and minor because they use uppercase for everything. C minor 7, C minor 6, C minor, same thing repeats. As we go through, we've got those same chords repeating. F minor 6, and even the notes themselves are different. And just want you to know, and it's like more cursive, very, very different. Even the tablature fonts are different. G7 flat 9. Let's see if there's any other chords that would. That's a major 7, and that's one way that they do a major 7. And I'll go back to the other song in a second because it illustrates the other way. Yeah, so I think all of this, just want you to be aware of some of those differences stylistically, so you don't get too confused. And if I go switch to even the melody, it just has a different style to it. Some people it throws off. Some people would never even notice it if I didn't point it out. Um, but I'm sure um, John has seen a lot of jazz charts. It sounds like Virginia has seen some too. And that's just the way those are. So I want you to know that.
It
And
also seems like most of those, there's tons of real books. There's six, seven, eight versions. They're all different in the way they notate and
right,
the way they're set up
absolutely. Yeah,
to the point where it can be just crazy because you're looking at the same changes, but they are not reading the same way because they're from different real books,
yeah,
just the different way they approach it.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, and it's you know I think Reagan unregulated jazz music back in the '80s, and so we don't have any rules. It's just chaos in the marketplace. Um, I'll get out of this really quick. I want to go back to the autumn leaves thing because I want you guys to see these chords because there's one thing that's different. It's kind of cool. Um, and here we go. And that, I'll get rid of these other voices and make this one even bigger. So this version, sorry. Where are, holy moly. So, hope no one gets seasick here. Okay. Um, Same so far, but this triangle means major seven. So that's another way of notating it. So it's a B flat major seven and an E flat major seven. Um, and I think it's great to talk about this stuff just a little bit. You may see it in different places. That A minor 7 flat 5. I don't think there is anything. And sometimes you see an augmented chord as AUG. Sometimes you see it as a plus sign. Now, there's not one in this song. I think that was it. That's it from here. But yeah, studying that stuff a little bit can help you just grasp some music. So now we will actually jump in to our own version of Idle Moments. And it has a really cool thing at the beginning, which is called a line cliche, is the fancy word for it. And that just means, whoops, am I pulling this up yet? Here we go. It's just a chord sequence that gets used a lot, and it kind of bridges movement. This one has chromatic movement, and we're going in C minor and to the C minor major 7, so we're going from 5 3 3 3 to 4 3 3 3 to 3 3 3 3 to 2 3 3 3. So we've got a bass line going. Now the Beatles use that all the time. You can hear some classical music. So that's happening. So another way of thinking about something like this, those are the dynamic notes. C, B, B flat, A. Here are the static notes. E flat, G, and C. And when you put that together, but with the rhythm, kind of cool. if you're not used to making these kind of bar chords, there's a few things you can do. Um, and just like I did, just playing. So if I'm going through this little intro, just getting a sense of that, I might just play on the quarter note, just to be like. Maybe try to syncopate. Like it goes, and just get in touch with that rhythm, man. I wasn't ready for that, maybe. Just two strings. And that actually kind of conveys the idea, or three. That just means my right hand's just playing three or all four. And it's such an expressive thing. I'm a huge Grant Green fan. I don't know, I probably have 15 or 20 Grant Green albums. And I remember reading his biography, talked about this song. This album is a huge album on Blue Note Records, and it's a classic, amazing album. Like 4 songs, you know. This one ended up, I don't know, being maybe 11 minutes long, something like that. Duke Pearson wrote out the charts, and they said, like, back in the day when this was recorded, that they would have a gig, most likely somewhere around Harlem. We're in Harlem, and they would play till about 2 in the morning, and then they would cross the river, go over to wherever, New Jersey, I can't remember, where Rudy Van Gelder had a house, and they recorded all this stuff in his living room. Would set up, do this. Duke Pearson wrote out a chart for this. They looked at it, messed around with it for a second, and then they cut it. Everybody misread the chart, and so they doubled everything. And Duke Pearson, you know, if I had written the song, I would just, hey guys, no, that's not how it goes. But jazz doesn't work that way, and they let it go, and thank God they did. And it was a one-take thing. It's just amazing piece of music, and so jazz in that way, that it was happening in real time, and not exactly as was envisioned by the composer, but really strange that the drummer, bass player, vibraphone player, and guitar player, and saxophone player all read the changes in a different way than they were written. Just kind of some cool trivia with that. This little pattern, anybody have any questions, problems? There's a lot of ways you could play it, you know, kind of jazz style with your thumb. 1. And it's kind of, because it's on that, you know, I like to think of these swung eighth notes, long, short, long, short, long, short, long, short, long. So that's a short note. Short, short, long, 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 long. Which is just so different than if it were on the beat with kind of the same rhythm of like. So much better. With that syncopation, I think. Super cool. Another way, you know, classical style, just kind of plucking the chord. Also, also a cool way to play it. Um, we'll dive into this, and I'll wait till the end, and I'll play some of the recorded version after I stop recording here, so YouTube doesn't um, shut us down. Um, but hopefully they won't shut down this. I want to give you just a little bit of this melody, which whoops, whoa, where'd it go? There it is. Also has very similar rhythm. Play that again. 1. And that is very C minor scale, which we've worked with a little bit. Real easy there in the 3rd position, and can just get that happening on that G. Super long note there. And while that's happening, we have this straighter chords. Can anybody tell me what kind of chord progression that is? It's one we've done before, maybe last spring. Yeah, he's looking
Like
for
145,
251.
right?
You could kind of look at it like that.
Mm.
You know what I'm seeing? 1, 4, 5. If there's a 1, 4, 5 in C minor, what kind of music is this kind of? Maybe some blues. Got some blues to it. But it's jazzed up blues, yeah. And so you can see it multiple ways. And just getting, to me, this is like jazzed up minor blues. And if I just played we go, oh yeah, I hear the blues now. C minor, F minor, G7. But with these, and that's why I was really careful to notate. Of course, F minor 6 there, really cool. But that G7 flat 9, that we're thinking of it as a 5 chord there, rather than as a 7 chord and a B diminished 7 or something. These 2 chords, the F minor 6, which is 5, 5, 4, 5, and turns into 4, 5, 4, 5. One of these awesome little moments where I'm going to come out of the screen share for a second, and I'm going to pin my video just so people can see it if they go back and watch it. So going from this shape, 5, 5, 4, 5, to this shape, 4, 5, 4, 5. Notice these 2 fingers are already where we at our destination. They're common to both, so I definitely don't want to do something like half of it away. Now, in order to do that, I may have to do some pivoting. And that's where this kind of thumb position is so helpful, I think. If I keep one rigid kind of position, I'm fighting my hand a little more. Now, some people, maybe if you can do it, that's fine. I like to follow the shape a little bit. And when I have two notes on the same fret, especially with my first and second finger, I like to hit them at more of a angle like that. And then a chord like this is easier for me, more parallel with it. And so playing that whole little section, very rich, and noticing that we have so many common notes in those chords. Really nice sound. If you like being sad, this is your kind of thing, you know. And I don't remember who Paul Desmond maybe had had an album, something to the effect "Glad to Be Unhappy," something like that. Also, if I can go back. Well, I'll just illustrate this hand-wise first. This pulsing, so I don't want to. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, if that's all I can do right now, okay. But what we want to go for, what is written, is note rests. Short, long, short, long, short, long, short, long, short, long, long, short, long, short, long, short, long, short, long, dun, dun. So we're in this groove with it, and and not doing straight eights. 3 and 4 and 2 and 3, but that's swung eighth notes. So that muted note is shorter than the played note. Nice. Any questions in that little bit? All right. Let's play along with it here. I'll show you the music. Hold on. Idle moments, and boom. And we'll just play the first 8 bars. How about that? And then we can repeat it. Why not? So that first, let me see if I can do this. This might be easier to read. Yeah, we'll try it. We'll try the sideways orientation. And here we go. This is at a 72. Should be pretty doable. 2, 3, 4. It's going to loop back around if I did this correctly. That little syncopation on the last chord is so good. I'll show you a little thing to get some more emotion out of that. I'm pretty sure, as I recall, Grant Green sliding. Instead of just... So you can mess around with that. And then slide just from F sharp to G, or the second fret to the third fret. Awesome. And we'll just keep going. Now, guess what? We've got some repetition. Same thing again. To measure 9. And a new part, really nice melody. Now, I want to show you a little strategy for that. I would play it in the third position, meaning my first finger's there, and I would just slide backwards for that G flat. So I just come back, yeah. Now, if you can bar the whole thing, you could bar those 3 strings. That works pretty well too, or you could just finger each note individually. I've got such a live, breathing instrument that it makes my C string and G ring, so I'll mute those. And a cool little thing from that 6, 5, 4 right there, just great melody. Kind of outlining that C minor and then landing inside of that F minor 6. There, you can kind of see that. Let's take that. That's measure 13 and 14. Let's just try it a couple times. 1, 2, ready, and... Notice we're not doing that descent anymore on the chorus, just C minor, F minor 6. Really nice little phrase. Leaves an opening for this phrase, which I think I want to look at first, is happening over this those changes. So we now have this A flat major 7, 1, 3, 3, 3. Unexpected sound and a welcome sound. Kind of a half-step modulation from the G family to the A flat family. Dominant 7, flat 9 to a major 7. So there's some resolution, conflict, resolution. Nice line there. And then this new melody. That's a nice melody. And that's 5, 4, 5, 4, 3, 3. And there's something I think that's really good for your fingers in playing swing music with a swing at a really slow tempo. It's very different than how you feel it, and it can get really expressive in there. So again, we've got that. We're in the third position the whole way. Finger-wise, third, second, first. first, first. And it's so cool that these phrases are not starting on beat one. They're all starting on the off beat. Gives them a nice feel. I'll even think I can make this one iteration larger. There we go. Let's play around with 15 and 16. Here we go. Oh, 1, 2, ready, and... Nice. So I recommend getting these little phrases, but now I probably waited too long. But let's come back to the top and take it from there. See if we can play along, whether you're playing chords or notes. Here we go. Oh, 1, 2, ready, and... Now we got to go into the first position for this next one. I'll show you that one. Oh, that's such beautiful music. This one you could play different ways, but I think this is the simplest way to play it. I'm playing that D with my second finger. D, C sharp with my, or D flat with my first. And just sliding up and sliding down. Another way you could do it is with your first finger for both. And maybe slide up with your third finger. I think a slide works nice, but without the slide, just... Or you could also play the F right there. The F being on the first fret of the second string. To my ear, it sounded like it was on the same string on the guitar. And you can, there's a certain thing you can make one string talk in a way that crossing the strings is like you're changing the voice slightly. And you can get really slurry and slidey with it. You could play it with one finger, really. Nice little thing. And these chords. And then this great kind of money chord there, I would call that. But if we were in a minor blues progression, that's the flat 6, sharp 5. And then we're coming back home. But super cool chords there. So we've had that F minor 6 fingering, flipping the first and second fingers for that one. And then we've got to flip back. I'll show you the fingering of this is kind of cool, I think. So we've got this F minor 6, and so don't watch it. It's like a magic trick. Don't watch these two fingers. Watch these two fingers. Whoops, right chord, right? They're staying on the same two strings for all three chords, which means you don't want to lift them. You just have to slide them. So they're on the 5th fret there, then just slide up to the 6th fret. Which, if you were going you got to play this song very, very slowly, and you're doing so much work to put those 2 fingers where they already were 3 times in a row. And so it's worth the extra effort to practice this skill of keeping 2 static fingers and 2 dynamic fingers with 1 little movement in there. So let's play this little section along with the track. Come on. 2, 3, I'll start with the chorus. Nice little phrase, some cool chords, but again, my ear and brain hear that as blues. And then finally, we have finishing it off and getting so much melodic resolution from D, E flat, D, B natural, from that G7 chord, the D also from the G7 chord, C, oh, so nice. And so that's, if we were looking at these notes and the chords, I think I could see the D is the 6th of the F minor 6, and the or no, it's not, is it? It's the yeah, am I right? E flat is the 7th, yeah, of an F, like an F7, flat 7, and then we're hitting that note, the 3rd of the G7, to the 5th, and resolving to the 1, but before the chord hits. But this is one of these little things in jazz. So like right here, let me go back to the shared screen. So cool that this chord dies here. So there's this moment where that C is anticipating where it's going to be resolved harmonic.
Kevin, we're not seeing the music. We're seeing your schedule.
Ah, it's pretty great, huh?
Yeah, you're busy.
There we go. You seeing that now? Yeah, so we've got this little moment here where that D is happening over a chord that would have a D in it, a G7. But the C is anticipating the harmonic resolution there. So like if I just play these 2 measures, kind of cool. So that sometimes happens where you get the note of the next chord on the last 8th note of a measure. Kind of cool. But play it a couple times. I'll play these chords, 3, 4. And that's just a blues turnaround. 4, 5, 1, 5. You can get slurry with that too. Slide it around if you wanted to. And so that is taking us kind of halfway through this tune. And then we've got, for people who are into all this stuff, some great moments in this Grant Green solo, which we'll listen to here in just a sec. But there's one particular moment that is so, I think, pretty easy to play. Measure 26. That pickup note is kind of nice. Straight out of the blues scale. And so just wanted to point out how important the blues are, and also point out that I think that, like, some of you might look at this and think, oh, I can't play this solo, this is too complex, I'm not even going to look at anything. But I would say, see if you can find one thing in this. And so, like, this, just this little section, this will be weird rhythmically, but just for practice. Super nice little riff. There's a whole bunch of them, and then there's some of these things that be really challenging. This sounds horrible in a Guitar Pro. This kind of tremolo picking technique. It does not sound horrible when he does it, but just wanted to point it out before we. It's so mechanical. But it's a pretty wonderful technique. Let me stop the share and stop the record.